the world of the Vikings. Hello and welcome. Today, we're diving into the mysterious and adventurous world of the Vikings. These legendary seafarers, explorers, and warriors have captured imaginations for centuries. Who were they really? What drove them to venture so far from their homelands, and how did they shape the world we know today? We'll uncover all of that and more as we embark on this journey through Viking history. We'll start by discovering where the Vikings came from and the unique northern societies they built in the cold, rugged lands of Scandinavia. We'll explore how they used their legendary longships to become masterful explorers and fearless traders, pushing the boundaries of the known world. But the Vikings weren't just warriors and sailors. They had a rich culture steeped in mythology, where gods like Odin, Thor, and Loki reigned. Their belief systems, fascinating rituals, and epic stories give us insight into how they viewed life, death, and everything in between. We'll also take a closer look at their impact on Europe. Their raids, fearless tactics, and the incredible reach of their influence left a mark on kingdoms across the continent, from England to France and beyond. We'll meet some of their most famous leaders and see how these iconic figures shape Viking history. By the end of our journey, you'll understand not just the violence and adventure, but also the trade, diplomacy, and eventual transformation of the Vikings as they encountered new cultures, including Christianity. And we'll explore the legacy they left behind, still alive in our modern world, in everything from literature to TV shows. So, get comfortable, relax, and let's embark on this journey to uncover the incredible world of the Vikings together. The origins of the Vikings and northern societies. The first key moment in understanding the Vikings is recognizing their origins and how the Scandinavian environment shaped their culture and ambitions. The Vikings, who rose to prominence between the 8th and 11th centuries, hail from the northern lands of Scandinavia, modern-day Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. The Viking Age is often said to have begun with the raid on Lindisfarne in 793 AD, but to fully grasp the Viking phenomenon, we must go back even further and explore how these people emerged from the harsh, rugged landscape of the north. Scandinavia, with its cold winters, short growing seasons, and challenging terrain, played a crucial role in shaping the Viking character. The vast forests, fjords, and mountain ranges created natural barriers that contributed to the isolation of these early societies. Agriculture was possible but difficult, as the soil in many areas was rocky and unyielding. As a result, the people of Scandinavia were forced to rely on a combination of farming, fishing, and hunting to survive. The need to make the most of scarce resources fostered a spirit of resilience and resourcefulness among the early Scandinavians, qualities that would later define the Vikings. The ancestors of the Vikings were part of the larger Germanic tribes that spread across northern Europe after the fall of the Roman Empire. These early Germanic peoples brought with them a set of cultural and linguistic traditions that would form the foundation of Viking society. Over time, as these groups settled in Scandinavia, they developed their own distinct identity. They spoke Old Norse, a language that would later evolve into modern Scandinavian languages, and they practiced a polytheistic religion that centered around gods like Odin, Thor, and Freya. This belief system, steeped in mythology and ritual, played a central role in Viking life, influencing everything from warfare to governance. By the 8th century, Scandinavian society had evolved into a collection of loosely connected tribes and small kingdoms. These communities were governed by chieftains or kings, who wielded authority over their people but relied heavily on the support of their warriors and freemen. The political structure of Viking society was fluid and often unstable, with power shifting from one ruler to another through alliances, battles, and marriages. Unlike the more centralized monarchies of Europe, Viking rulers were expected to demonstrate their leadership through acts of courage and success in battle, as well as their ability to distribute wealth and maintain order among their followers. The social structure of Viking society was hierarchical but offered a surprising amount of social mobility. At the top were the jarls, or nobles, who controlled vast tracts of land and commanded the loyalty of warriors and freemen. Beneath them were the carls, the freemen who made up the majority of Viking society. These were the farmers, craftsmen, and traders who formed the backbone of the community. Although they were not as wealthy or powerful as the jarls, the carls were free men with the right to own land and participate in local governance. At the bottom of the social hierarchy were the thralls, or slaves. Thralls were often captured during raids or warfare and were forced to work on farms or in households. However, unlike in many other cultures, Viking thralls could sometimes earn their freedom through hard work or by being granted manumission by their masters. One of the most distinctive features of Viking society was its legal system, known as the Thing. The Thing was a local assembly where free men gathered to resolve disputes, pass laws, and make important decisions. Unlike the more autocratic systems of governance found elsewhere in Europe, the Thing was a relatively democratic institution where even ordinary farmers could have a say in matters that affected the community. Disputes were often settled through negotiation and compensation, known as wargild, rather than through violence. The emphasis on consensus and fairness in Viking legal practices reflected the importance of honor and reputation in their culture. The geography of Scandinavia played a significant role in shaping Viking society, particularly their relationship with the sea. The region's long coastlines, deep fjords, and numerous islands made seafaring an essential part of life. For centuries before the Viking Age, Scandinavian peoples have relied on the sea not only for fishing and trade, but also for connecting with neighboring lands. By the time the Viking Age began, these early Scandinavians had developed sophisticated shipbuilding techniques that allowed them to navigate both the open ocean and shallow rivers with ease. The Viking longship, or drakkar, was a masterpiece of engineering. These ships were fast, lightweight, and highly maneuverable, capable of carrying warriors across vast distances or raiding deep into foreign territories. Longships were designed with shallow drafts, allowing them to navigate rivers and land directly on beaches, making them ideal for the hit-and-run tactics that became the hallmark of Viking raids. The longship became a symbol of Viking power and mobility, allowing them to strike fear into the hearts of their enemies and reach places as far away as North America, the Middle East, and even the Byzantine Empire. The sea was not just a means of warfare for the Vikings, it was also a gateway to trade and exploration. Long before the famous Viking raids, Scandinavian traders had established routes along the rivers and coasts of Europe, exchanging goods like furs, amber, and walrus ivory for silver, textiles, and other luxury items from the south. These early trade networks connected the Vikings to the wider world, exposing them to new ideas, technologies, and wealth. The desire for more resources and the knowledge gained from these trading ventures played a significant role in the Vikings' eventual expansion beyond their homelands. The rapid population growth in Scandinavia during the 8th and 9th centuries also contributed to the Viking expansion. As families grew and land became scarce, younger sons who had little chance of inheriting property in their homeland were forced to seek their fortune elsewhere. This pressure to find new lands and resources combined with the Vikings' seafaring expertise, fueled the outward push that defined the Viking Age. The Viking Age, therefore, was not just a period of raids and conquests, it was a time of exploration, trade, and cultural exchange. The Vikings' origins in the isolated, rugged landscapes of Scandinavia shaped them into a people who were both deeply connected to their homeland and uniquely equipped to navigate the wider world. Their mastery of the sea, their resilient social structure, and their desire for expansion set the stage for the great journeys and adventures that would make the Vikings legendary. The roots of Viking society, though firmly planted in the cold, unforgiving north, extended far beyond Scandinavia. The Vikings were not only warriors, but also skilled navigators, traders, and explorers whose influence spread across continents. As we continue to explore their history, we'll see how their origins shaped their remarkable impact on the world. The Vikings' maritime prowess and exploration. The first key moment in understanding Viking exploration is their extraordinary maritime skills, which were central to their success as seafarers and explorers. The Viking longship, or drakkar, was a technological marvel of its time. These ships were designed for versatility and speed, combining the features of both warships and cargo vessels. The longship's sleek, narrow hulls and symmetrical ends allowed them to navigate through both open seas and shallow rivers with equal ease. The Vikings' shipbuilding expertise was rooted in their need to overcome the geographical barriers of their homeland. Scandinavia's fjords, lakes, and rivers were navigable by these ships, making them well-suited for both coastal raids and inland expeditions. The longships were constructed using overlapping planks of wood, a technique known as clinker-built, which made them both lightweight and flexible. This construction method allowed the ships to withstand the harsh conditions of the North Atlantic and perform impressive feats of agility in battle or during raids. The Vikings' maritime abilities were not solely for warfare, they were also instrumental in trade and exploration. The Vikings established extensive trade routes that stretched across Europe, the Mediterranean, and even into Asia. They traded furs, amber, and other northern goods for silver, textiles, and luxury items from the south. This trade network was facilitated by their advanced navigation skills and their ability to travel long distances in their ships. The Viking voyages were not just about plunder, they were also about forging connections and creating a vast commercial empire. Exploration was a driving force behind the Viking expansion. From their Scandinavian homeland, Vikings set out on daring voyages that took them as far as the Mediterranean, the Middle East, and North America. One of the most famous of these explorations was led by Leif Erikson, the son of the renowned Viking chieftain Eric the Red. Around the year 1000 AD, Leif and his crew reached the shores of North America, landing in a place they called Vinland, which is believed to be located in present-day Newfoundland, Canada. This voyage predates Christopher Columbus's journey to the Americas by nearly 500 years and stands as one of the earliest known European expeditions to the New World. In addition to their famous voyages to North America, the Vikings also made significant incursions into other parts of Europe. They navigated the rivers of Eastern Europe, reaching as far as Constantinople, modern-day Istanbul, and the Byzantine Empire. These eastern expeditions were driven by both trade and raiding opportunities. The Vikings, known as Varangians in the Byzantine Empire, served as mercenaries and traders in this region. Their interactions with the Byzantines were not limited to warfare. They also engaged in diplomacy and formed alliances that were beneficial for both sides. The Vikings' exploration of the Mediterranean was another remarkable achievement. They ventured into the southern waters, reaching as far as the Iberian Peninsula and even the North African coast. These voyages were driven by the desire for wealth and resources, but they also facilitated cultural exchanges between the Vikings and the civilizations they encountered. The Vikings traded for luxury items like spices, silks, and gold, which were highly valued in their homelands. Their presence in the Mediterranean highlights the extensive reach of their maritime activities and their ability to navigate across vast distances. The technological innovations and navigational techniques developed by the Vikings had a lasting impact on seafaring. Their longships set a standard for naval design and construction that influenced shipbuilding throughout Europe and beyond. The use of the sun compass and star charts helped them navigate the open sea, while their knowledge of ocean currents and weather patterns allowed them to undertake long voyages with a high degree of accuracy. The Viking voyages were not only about discovering new lands, but also about establishing settlements and trading posts. The Vikings founded numerous colonies in the places they explored, including Iceland, Greenland, and parts of the British Isles. These settlements were strategically located to take advantage of local resources and trade opportunities, and they played a crucial role in the expansion of Viking influence across Europe and the Atlantic. In conclusion, the Vikings' maritime prowess and exploration were integral to their success and legacy. Their longships enabled them to navigate a wide range of environments, from the treacherous waters of the North Atlantic to the bustling trade routes of the Mediterranean. Their voyages reshaped the maps of their time, established extensive trade networks, and left an indelible mark on the history of exploration and navigation. The combination of advanced shipbuilding techniques, navigational skills, and a daring spirit of adventure defined the Viking Age and ensured that their impact would be felt for centuries to come. The social structure and daily life of the Vikings. The first key moment in exploring Viking society is understanding its social structure and how it shaped daily life. Viking society was organized in a way that balanced hierarchy with a certain degree of social mobility. At the top of this structure were the Jarls, or noble class. These were the landowners and leaders who wielded considerable power and influence. They controlled large estates and were responsible for leading their people in both war and peace. The Jarls were expected to be strong and courageous leaders, capable of defending their lands and maintaining order. Beneath the Jarls were the Carls, or free farmers and craftsmen. The Carls made up the bulk of Viking society and were the backbone of the economy. They owned their own land and were involved in various trades such as blacksmithing, weaving, and shipbuilding. Though not as wealthy or powerful as the Jarls, the Carls had significant autonomy and were crucial in maintaining the social and economic stability of their communities. They participated in local governance and had a say in important decisions affecting their village or region. At the bottom of the social hierarchy were the thralls, or slaves. Thralls were often captured during raids or were purchased from other traders. They worked on farms, in households, and in other labor-intensive roles. While their status was the lowest in the social hierarchy, it was not completely static. In some cases, thralls could earn their freedom through hard work or by being granted manumission by their masters. The possibility of moving up the social ladder, albeit limited, provided some degree of hope and motivation for those in servitude. Family and kinship were central to Viking social life. The concept of honor was paramount, and maintaining or enhancing family reputation was a significant aspect of daily life. This was reflected in the way disputes were handled and how social relations were managed. Family members often played a critical role in supporting and protecting each other, and loyalty to kin was a key value. Feuds and conflicts were common, and maintaining one's honor was a constant concern. Daily life in Viking communities revolved around agriculture, craftsmanship, and trade. Most Vikings lived in longhouses, which were large, rectangular buildings constructed from timber, stone, or turf. These longhouses were designed to accommodate extended families and often included space for livestock, which were kept indoors during the harsh winter months. The central hearth was the focal point of the home, providing warmth and a place for cooking. The construction of longhouses was practical and efficient, reflecting the Vikings' resourcefulness in adapting to their environment. The Viking diet was based on the resources available to them. They consumed a variety of foods, including barley, rye, oats, and vegetables. Meat from livestock such as cattle, sheep, and pigs was a staple, and fish was a crucial part of their diet, especially for those living near the coast. Preservation techniques like drying, salting, and smoking were used to store food for the long winters. Brewing was also an important aspect of daily life, with ale and mead being popular beverages. Feasts and gatherings were central to social life, providing opportunities for communal celebration and reinforcement of social bonds. Craftsmanship was highly valued in Viking society. The creation of weapons, tools, and household items required skill and expertise. Blacksmiths, weavers, and woodworkers played essential roles in their communities, producing goods that were both functional and decorative. Viking artisans were known for their intricate designs and craftsmanship, which can be seen in the elaborate patterns of their metalwork, jewelry, and textiles. Trade was a significant aspect of Viking life and was closely tied to their exploration and maritime activities. Vikings traded with neighboring regions and far-off lands, exchanging goods such as furs, amber, and iron for silver, textiles, and luxury items. The Vikings' extensive trade networks connected them to various cultures and brought wealth and new ideas to their society. Trading expeditions often involved long journeys and interactions with diverse peoples, contributing to the Vikings' reputation as both traders and raiders. Religion and spirituality also played a crucial role in Viking daily life. The Vikings practiced a polytheistic faith centered around gods such as Odin, Thor, and Freya. They believed in a complex pantheon and an intricate mythology that included tales of creation, heroism, and the afterlife. Rituals and sacrifices were performed to honor the gods and ensure their favor. Religious practices were deeply woven into the fabric of Viking society, influencing everything from personal conduct to community rituals. In summary, Viking social structure was marked by a clear hierarchy but also allowed for social mobility, particularly for thralls who could earn their freedom. Daily life in Viking communities was centered around agriculture, craftsmanship, and trade, with a strong emphasis on family, honor, and practical living. The Vikings' rich cultural life, including their religious practices and craftsmanship, reflects a society that was both resilient and sophisticated. Their ability to balance these various aspects of life contributed to their enduring legacy and the wide-reaching impact they had on the world. Viking warrior culture and tactics. The Viking Age, spanning from the late 8th century to the early 11th century, is celebrated for its remarkable warriors whose bravery and tactical ingenuity shaped much of European history. Viking warriors, known for their prowess and fearlessness, were integral to the Viking way of life. Their culture, combat techniques, and weaponry were critical to their success both as raiders and as conquerors. At the core of Viking warrior culture was a deep-seated code of honor. Valor and bravery in battle were highly esteemed qualities. The Vikings valued strength, skill, and heroism, often immortalizing these traits in their sagas and poems. The sagas, which were epic narratives recited and written down centuries later, celebrate the heroic deeds of Viking warriors. They portray battles, raids, and personal feats with dramatic flair, highlighting how central martial prowess and reputation were to Viking identity. Viking warriors were organized into groups known as herd, which were essentially elite warbands serving chieftains or kings. Members of a herd were more than just soldiers, they were bound by loyalty and camaraderie. The herd would be granted various privileges and rewards, such as land or treasure, in return for their unwavering support. This close-knit group dynamic fostered a strong sense of loyalty and obligation, crucial for maintaining order and effectiveness during raids and battles. In terms of military strategy, the Vikings were both innovative and adaptable. On land, they employed a battle formation known as the shield wall. In this formation, warriors stood shoulder to shoulder, their shields overlapping to create a nearly impenetrable barrier. This tactic was effective in both offensive and defensive situations. The shield wall allowed Vikings to advance steadily while protecting against enemy attacks. Once they reached close quarters, they would break the formation to engage in hand-to-hand combat, where their agility and ferocity gave them an edge. When it came to naval warfare, the Vikings' skills were unmatched. Their longships were a testament to their advanced shipbuilding techniques and maritime capabilities. These ships were designed for speed and maneuverability, allowing them to navigate both open seas and shallow rivers. The ability to conduct lightning-fast raids from the water, strike coastal settlements, and quickly retreat was a hallmark of Viking naval strategy. The longships' shallow drafts enabled them to land troops in places where larger ships could not, making their raids more unpredictable and difficult to counter. The Vikings also employed psychological tactics to enhance their effectiveness in combat. The mere sight of Viking ships could cause panic among their enemies. The Vikings' fearsome reputation was amplified by their intimidating appearance and ruthless tactics. They often wore distinctive helmets and carried large, imposing shields, adding to their fearsome image. Their raids were characterized by their swiftness and brutality, aimed at overwhelming and destabilizing their adversaries before they could mount an effective defense. Viking weapons and armor were designed to balance protection with mobility. Axes were a favored weapon due to their versatility. They could be used both for delivering powerful strikes and for practical purposes such as chopping wood. The sword, often seen as a symbol of status, was finely crafted and featured intricate designs. It was a prized possession, passed down through generations. Spears were also commonly used, effective for both throwing and thrusting. Viking armor, while functional, was not overly heavy. Many warriors wore chainmail shirts, which provided a good balance between protection and mobility. Helmets were typically simple but practical, often featuring a metal cap with a nose guard to protect against blows. Shields were usually round, made of wood with a metal boss in the center to deflect attacks. These practical designs reflected the Vikings' emphasis on efficiency and effectiveness in combat. The role of Viking warriors extended beyond mere fighting. Successful warriors gained considerable prestige and respect within their communities. Their accomplishments on the battlefield could lead to increased status, wealth, and influence. The practice of distributing spoils from raids, such as treasure and land, reinforced social bonds and ensured loyalty. Leaders rewarded their warriors to maintain support and consolidate power, creating a system where martial success directly contributed to social advancement. In conclusion, Viking warrior culture was defined by a blend of honor, skill, and tactical ingenuity. Their military strategies and equipment were tailored to their specific needs, combining effective land combat tactics with advanced naval capabilities. The legacy of Viking warriors, characterized by their bravery and strategic acumen, continues to captivate historians and enthusiasts, underscoring their significant impact on the history of warfare and their enduring influence on cultural narratives. Viking mythology and beliefs. Viking mythology, an integral part of Norse culture, provides a fascinating glimpse into the spiritual and religious life of the Norse people during the Viking Age. The mythology is rich with gods, goddesses, and a wide range of mythological creatures that influenced every aspect of Viking existence, from their social norms to their understanding of the cosmos. At the center of Viking mythology is Odin, the All-Father, who reigns over Asgard, the realm of the gods. Odin is a complex deity associated with wisdom, war, and death. His relentless quest for knowledge is legendary, symbolized by his sacrifice of one of his eyes at Mimir's well. This sacrifice was made in exchange for profound wisdom and insight into the mysteries of the universe. Odin is often depicted as a wise, one-eyed figure who roams the world in search of knowledge and truth. His hall, Valhalla, is where the bravest warriors who fall in battle are taken. These warriors, known as the Einherjar, spend their days fighting and feasting, preparing for Ragnarok, the prophesied end of the world. Valhalla is a place of honor and valor, reflecting the Viking ideals of bravery and heroism. Thor, Odin's son, is another central figure in Norse mythology. Known as the god of thunder and protection, Thor is one of the most beloved deities among the Norse people. His primary weapon, Mjolnir, is a powerful hammer that he wields to protect the gods and humanity from the giants, or Jotnar. Thor's strength and courage are legendary, and his adventures often involve battles against these giants and other malevolent beings. His role as a protector of both gods and humans embodies the Viking values of strength and fortitude. Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, was also believed to bring fertility and prosperity, further emphasizing his importance in Viking society. Freya, the goddess of love, fertility, and war, is another significant deity in Norse mythology. Freya is celebrated for her beauty and her magical abilities, particularly her mastery of Seidr, a form of Norse magic used to alter reality and influence fate. Freya's role extends into the afterlife. She receives half of the warriors who die in battle in her hall, Folkvanger, while Odin claims the other half for Valhalla. This division underscores Freya's dual role as a goddess of both life and death. Her influence extends beyond the realm of the living, highlighting her importance in Viking spiritual practices and beliefs about the afterlife. The Norse cosmology is intricately structured around Yggdrasil, the world tree. Yggdrasil is an immense ash tree that connects the 9 worlds of Norse mythology. These worlds include Asgard, the realm of the gods, Midgard, the world of humans, Jotunheim, the land of the giants, and several others. Yggdrasil's branches extend into various realms, while its roots reach into the underworld. The tree symbolizes the interconnectedness of all existence and the delicate balance between order and chaos. It is central to the Norse understanding of the universe, representing both the stability and the potential for disruption within the cosmos. One of the most dramatic aspects of Norse mythology is the concept of Ragnarok, the foretold apocalypse. Ragnarok is envisioned as a catastrophic event that will lead to a final, destructive battle between the gods and the forces of chaos. This battle will see the death of several major gods, including Odin, Thor, and Loki, and the destruction of the world as it is known. Despite the catastrophic nature of Ragnarok, it is not seen as an ultimate end but as a necessary precursor to the renewal of the world. After the chaos and destruction, a new, purified world will emerge, with surviving gods and a new generation of humans inhabiting it. The Norse pantheon also includes a variety of supernatural beings, such as elves, dwarfs, and spirits. Elves are depicted as magical, ethereal beings associated with nature, fertility, and other aspects of the natural world. They are believed to inhabit their own realms and influence the world in subtle, often beneficial ways. Dwarfs are renowned for their exceptional craftsmanship and ability to create powerful artifacts, such as Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. These beings are integral to many myths and legends, showcasing their significant role in Viking culture. Spirits, including the Landvetter, guardian spirits of the land, play important roles in local folklore. They are believed to protect and influence specific areas and households, reflecting the Vikings' belief in the presence of spiritual forces in their everyday lives. Sacrifices and rituals were vital components of Norse religious practice. The Vikings performed blots, sacrifices made to appease the gods and seek their favor. These sacrifices, which often involved animals and occasionally humans, were conducted during significant events, seasonal changes, or personal milestones. Rituals were essential for maintaining a harmonious relationship with the divine forces and ensuring the prosperity and protection of the community. These practices underscored the importance of maintaining favor with the gods and ensuring the well-being of both individuals and the larger society. In summary, Viking mythology offers a complex and richly detailed view of the Norse understanding of the cosmos. The pantheon of gods and goddesses, the central role of Yggdrasil, the prophesied Ragnarok, and the various supernatural beings all contribute to a rich tapestry of beliefs that shaped Viking culture and society. This mythology not only provides insight into the spiritual life of the Norse people, but also reflects their values, fears, and aspirations in the face of a vast and unpredictable universe. Viking trade network and economic impact. When you think of the Vikings, you might picture them as fierce raiders and legendary warriors, but their legacy extends far beyond their martial prowess. Equally impressive was their role as traders, which played a crucial part in shaping the economic and cultural landscape of Europe and beyond. The Viking trade network was vast and complex, connecting distant regions and facilitating the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures. The Viking Age, roughly spanning from the late 8th century to the early 11th century, was a period of intense activity for these Norse seafarers. Their extensive trade network was not just about exchanging commodities, but was also a significant factor in their economic prosperity and cultural influence. The Vikings were masterful navigators and established a range of trade routes that linked Scandinavia with the rest of Europe, the Byzantine Empire, and even the Arab world. One of the most notable trade routes was the Volga route, which connected the Baltic Sea to the Caspian Sea. This route was crucial for the Vikings' trade with the Byzantine Empire and the Arab world. It allowed them to bring luxury goods such as silks, spices, and other exotic items into northern Europe. This influx of luxury goods had a profound impact on Viking society, introducing new tastes and cultural influences. The Volga route was not only a trade artery but also a conduit for the exchange of ideas and technologies between East and West. Another significant route was the Dnieper route, which connected the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea. This route facilitated trade with the Slavic peoples and the Byzantine Empire. The Vikings established key trading posts and settlements along these routes, such as Birka in Sweden and Hedeby in Denmark. These trading centers became bustling hubs of economic activity where goods and people from various regions converged. Birka, for instance, was a major trading center in Sweden and played a crucial role in the Viking trade network. Its strategic location made it a key player in the exchange of goods and ideas across Northern Europe. The Vikings' trade network was incredibly diverse, with their exports including a wide range of goods. One of their most valuable exports was amber, a resin from ancient trees that was used to make jewelry and ornaments. Amber was highly prized and was traded far beyond Scandinavia, reaching markets as far away as the Mediterranean. Another important export was fur, particularly from animals like beavers, minks, and wolves. The high-quality furs were in great demand across Europe, where they were used to make clothing and other items. Iron goods were also a significant part of Viking exports. Viking blacksmiths were renowned for their craftsmanship, producing high-quality tools and weapons that were highly sought after throughout Europe. These iron goods were not only valuable commodities but also a testament to the advanced metalworking skills of the Vikings. In return for these exports, the Vikings imported a variety of luxury and essential items. Silk, spices, and wine were among the most sought-after imports. These items were not only desirable luxuries but also had practical uses in Viking society. For example, silk was used for making fine clothing and textiles, while spices and wine were enjoyed by the Viking elite. The import of these goods enriched Viking daily life and contributed to their material culture. The impact of Viking trade on Northern Europe was profound. The establishment of trading centers like York in England provided a foundation for the growth of urban centers and stimulated economic activity. The influx of wealth and goods from Viking trade helped enhance the prosperity of these towns, contributing to their long-term development. The presence of Viking merchants and traders also contributed to the growth of markets and the establishment of new economic opportunities. The influence of Viking trade extended beyond Northern Europe, impacting the wider European economy. The flow of precious metals, such as silver and gold, into Northern Europe helped stimulate trade and economic activity across the continent. Viking interactions with the Byzantine Empire and the Arab world also facilitated the exchange of technologies and ideas. For instance, advancements in navigation and shipbuilding acquired through trade with the Middle East had a lasting impact on European maritime capabilities. These innovations helped to enhance the Vikings' own seafaring prowess and contributed to the broader development of European exploration and trade. Cultural exchange was another significant aspect of Viking trade. The Vikings were not only traders but also assimilators of various cultural practices and technologies. Their interactions with the Byzantine Empire, for example, exposed them to advanced artistic and architectural styles. Artifacts and coins found in Viking settlements reflect the influence of Byzantine culture on Viking art and material culture. Similarly, their trade with the Middle East introduced them to Arab technologies and practices, which influenced Viking shipbuilding and navigation techniques. The Vikings' role as traders highlights their importance not only as formidable warriors but also as skilled merchants who played a crucial role in the development of a more interconnected medieval world. Their trade network facilitated the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultural practices, shaping the economic and social landscape of the Viking Age and leaving a lasting legacy that continues to be studied and admired today. Viking raids and their impact on Europe. The Viking Age, stretching from the late 8th century to the early 11th century, is often characterized by dramatic and far-reaching raids across Europe. The image of the Vikings as relentless raiders is well earned, as their seafaring and combat skills allowed them to strike fear into the hearts of many. These raids were not just about plundering, they had profound and lasting effects on the regions they targeted, influencing political structures, economic systems, and cultural landscapes across Europe. The Viking raids began in earnest in 793 with the notorious attack on Lindisfarne Monastery in Northumbria, England. This raid is considered the starting point of the Viking Age and marked a dramatic shift in the history of Northern Europe. Lindisfarne, a wealthy and relatively unprotected Christian monastery, was an ideal target for Viking raiders. The attack demonstrated the Vikings' naval prowess and their ability to conduct swift, surprise assaults. The devastating impact of this raid set a precedent for future Viking incursions. The Vikings, renowned for their advanced shipbuilding technology, utilized longships that were revolutionary for their time. These vessels, with their shallow drafts and versatile design, allowed them to navigate both the open sea and shallow inland rivers. The longship's speed and agility made it possible for Viking raiders to launch surprise attacks on coastal towns and riverside settlements, strike quickly, and retreat before a coordinated defense could be mounted. This tactical advantage played a crucial role in their successful raiding strategy. The British Isles were among the primary targets of Viking raids. England, in particular, experienced repeated assaults from Viking forces. The Vikings were drawn to the wealth of monasteries and towns in England, which were rich in valuables but poorly defended. Major cities such as York, London, and Canterbury were attacked and looted multiple times. The persistent threat of Viking raids led to significant social and political upheaval in England. Local rulers had to respond by developing new defensive strategies and fortifications. This constant state of vulnerability contributed to the political fragmentation of England and the eventual emergence of regional kingdoms. Ireland also bore the brunt of Viking raids. The Vikings targeted Irish monasteries and towns, leading to widespread destruction. However, their raids had a more complex impact than mere plundering. In Ireland, the Vikings established several important trading towns, including Dublin, which became a significant center of Viking activity. Unlike in England, where the Vikings primarily focused on raiding, in Ireland, they also engaged in settlement and trade. This led to a blending of Viking and Irish cultures as the Vikings integrated into Irish society, influencing local customs, art, and even language. The impact of Viking raids extended beyond the British Isles and Ireland to mainland Europe. The Frankish Empire, which was under the rule of Charlemagne's descendants, was particularly vulnerable to Viking attacks. The Vikings targeted the coasts of France and the Low Countries, striking towns and monasteries along major rivers like the Seine and Loire. The city of Paris, for example, faced a significant Viking siege in 845, which resulted in substantial damage and forced King Charles the Bald to negotiate with the raiders. The constant Viking threat prompted the Frankish rulers to fortify their defenses and develop new military strategies. One of the most significant outcomes of Viking raids was the establishment of the Danelaw, a region in England that came under Viking control during the 9th and 10th centuries. The Danelaw was more than just a conquered territory. It was an area where Viking laws and customs were implemented. The introduction of Viking legal and administrative systems had lasting effects on the local population. The Danelaw facilitated a fusion of Viking and Anglo-Saxon cultures, resulting in a unique blend of traditions, legal practices, and societal norms. The Viking raids also had a lasting economic impact on Europe. The constant threat of Viking attacks led to the development of new defensive strategies and fortifications across the continent. Towns and cities invested in stronger walls and defensive structures to protect themselves from Viking incursions. This period saw the construction of numerous castles and fortresses, which played a crucial role in European defense strategies for centuries to come. The Vikings' influence on European military architecture can still be seen in the remnants of these defensive structures. Culturally, the Viking raids contributed to the blending of Norse and European traditions. As Vikings settled in the regions they raided, they interacted with local populations, leading to the exchange of ideas, customs, and technologies. This cultural fusion is evident in the art, language, and even legal systems of the areas affected by Viking presence. For instance, Viking art and craftsmanship influenced local styles, while Viking legal practices were incorporated into regional legal systems. By the late 10th and early 11th centuries, the nature of Viking raids began to change. Many Vikings who had previously been raiders transitioned to becoming settlers. They established permanent settlements in the lands they had targeted, marking a shift from raiding to colonization. This transition contributed to the integration of Viking culture into European societies. The establishment of towns and kingdoms by Viking settlers had a lasting impact on the regions they inhabited, further blending Viking traditions with local customs. Viking leaders and kingdoms. The Viking Age, known for its intense raids and explorations, was also a period of notable leadership and the establishment of influential kingdoms. Among the many figures who emerged during this era, a few stand out for their exceptional leadership, military prowess, and impact on Viking and European history. Let's delve into the lives and legacies of some of the most prominent Viking leaders and the kingdoms they ruled. Ragnar Lothbrok is one of the most legendary figures from the Viking Age, a semi-mythical hero whose exploits have been immortalized in sagas and historical accounts. His life, while blending fact and legend, showcases the quintessential Viking warrior and leader. Ragnar was a renowned raider and a formidable leader, known for his bravery and cunning. According to the sagas, he led numerous successful raids across Europe, including attacks on Paris and the British Isles. His exploits were so famous that they inspired a multitude of tales, blending his real achievements with mythic embellishments. Ragnar's most notable raid was his attack on Paris in 845, which left a lasting mark on the city's history. His leadership was characterized by bold strategies and an unyielding spirit, which earned him a reputation as one of the most influential Viking figures. Ragnar Lothbrok's legacy is also closely tied to his sons, known collectively as the Ragnarsson brothers. These sons, including Ivar the Boneless, Bjorn Ironside, Sigurd Snake in the Eye, and Hvitserk, continued their father's legacy and expanded Viking influence throughout Europe. Ivar the Boneless, in particular, was known for his strategic acumen and ruthlessness. He played a crucial role in the conquest of the Danelaw in England and was a key figure in the Viking expansion into the British Isles. His leadership style, marked by a mix of strategic brilliance and brutal tactics, made him a formidable opponent and a significant figure in Viking history. Another prominent Viking leader was Harald Fairhair, who is often credited with the unification of Norway. Before Harald's rise to power, Norway was a collection of independent and often warring chieftaincies. Harald's ambition and strategic vision led him to consolidate these disparate regions into a single kingdom. His reign marked the beginning of a more centralized Norwegian state, laying the groundwork for the future of Norway as a unified nation. Harald's leadership was not without challenges, as he faced resistance from other powerful chieftains and had to navigate complex political dynamics. However, his determination and military prowess enabled him to achieve significant unification, which had lasting implications for the region's political landscape. Following Harald Fairhair, his descendants continued to play crucial roles in Viking history. Harald Bluetooth, a later king of Denmark, is another key figure in Viking history. Harald was known for his efforts to unite Denmark and convert the Danes to Christianity. His reign marked a significant turning point in the Viking Age as he worked to integrate his kingdom into the broader European Christian framework. Harald's conversion to Christianity was a strategic move that helped to solidify his power and align Denmark more closely with the rest of Europe. His legacy includes the famous Jelling stones, which commemorate his achievements and conversion. Another influential Viking leader was Sweyn Forkbeard, the father of Knut the Great. Sweyn was a significant figure in Viking history due to his conquest of England. His rise to power was marked by a series of successful raids and battles, culminating in his claim to the English throne. Sweyn's reign in England was short-lived, but it paved the way for his son Knut's eventual domination of England and Scandinavia. Sweyn's leadership demonstrated the Viking ability to influence and control vast territories, extending their reach beyond Scandinavia and into the heart of Europe. Knut the Great, Sweyn's son, was one of the most remarkable Viking rulers, known for his extensive empire that spanned across England, Denmark, and Norway. Knut's reign represented the pinnacle of Viking political and military power. His ability to consolidate and govern such a vast empire was a testament to his exceptional leadership and administrative skills. Knut's reign was marked by relative peace and stability as he worked to integrate his diverse territories and strengthen his rule. His policies and governance helped to solidify the Viking legacy in Europe and ensured the continued influence of Scandinavian culture and politics. The Viking Age also saw the rise of local chieftains and regional leaders who played essential roles in their respective areas. Olaf Tryggvason and Olaf Haraldsson, also known as Saint Olaf, were two notable figures in Norway's history. Olaf Tryggvason was a significant leader who played a crucial role in the Christianization of Norway. His efforts to promote Christianity and unify Norway under his rule were instrumental in shaping the region's religious and political landscape. Saint Olaf, his successor, continued these efforts and became a symbol of Norwegian Christianity and resistance against external forces. The Viking leaders and their kingdoms had a profound impact on the history and development of Europe. Their conquests and rule helped to shape the political and cultural landscape of the time. The legacy of these leaders is still felt today, as their influence extended beyond their immediate territories and contributed to the broader history of Europe. In conclusion, the Viking leaders and their kingdoms were pivotal in shaping the course of European history. From legendary figures like Ragnar Lothbrok and his sons to influential kings like Harald Fairhair, Sweyn Forkbeard, and Knut the Great, the Viking Age was marked by dynamic leadership and significant political developments. These leaders' achievements and legacies continue to be remembered and celebrated, highlighting their enduring impact on history. Vikings' encounter with Christianity and their conversion. The encounter between the Vikings and Christianity was a transformative period, marking a significant shift in both Viking society and the broader European landscape. This process of conversion was gradual and complex, reflecting a blend of conflict, negotiation, and eventual integration of Christian beliefs into Viking culture. When the Vikings first began their raids and expansions across Europe, they encountered a predominantly Christian continent. The initial interactions between the two cultures were often hostile, with the Vikings targeting Christian monasteries and churches, which were seen as wealthy and poorly defended. This period of raiding, which began in the late 8th century, did not immediately lead to widespread conversion, but rather to a series of interactions that would gradually shape the Viking approach to Christianity. One of the earliest and most significant interactions between the Vikings and Christianity was the establishment of Christian missions in Scandinavia. Christian missionaries, sent from various parts of Europe, ventured into Viking territories with the goal of converting the pagan Norsemen. These missionaries faced considerable challenges, including resistance from local leaders and the deeply ingrained pagan traditions of the Viking people. Despite these obstacles, their efforts laid the groundwork for future conversions. The process of conversion was often slow and uneven, with varying degrees of acceptance and resistance in different Viking regions. In Norway, the efforts to convert the population were spearheaded by leaders like King Olaf Tryggvason and King Olaf II Haraldsson, also known as Saint Olaf. Both kings played crucial roles in the Christianization of Norway, employing a combination of diplomacy, coercion, and warfare to establish Christianity as the dominant religion. Olaf Tryggvason, who reigned from 995 to 1000, is known for his aggressive approach to conversion, including the use of force to impose Christianity on his subjects. His efforts were met with varying levels of success, as some Viking chieftains and their followers resisted the new religion. King Olaf II Haraldsson, who ruled Norway from 1015 to 1028, continued the work of his predecessor and is celebrated for his significant contributions to the Christianization of Norway. Olaf II's reign marked a period of consolidation for Christianity in the region, as he sought to integrate Christian practices and institutions into Norwegian society. His efforts were supported by the establishment of churches and the promotion of Christian laws and customs. Olaf II's commitment to Christianity eventually led to his canonization as Saint Olaf, further cementing his legacy as a key figure in Norway's religious transformation. In Denmark, the process of Christianization was similarly influenced by royal authority. King Harald Bluetooth, who ruled Denmark from 958 to 986, is known for his efforts to unify Denmark and convert the Danes to Christianity. Harald's conversion to Christianity was a strategic move that helped to strengthen his political position and align Denmark more closely with the rest of Europe. The Jelling stones, erected by Harald, commemorate his achievements and his role in the Christianization of Denmark. Harald's efforts were instrumental in establishing Christianity as a significant force in Danish society. The conversion of Sweden followed a somewhat different path compared to its neighbors. The process in Sweden was more gradual and less centralized. It was not until the late 11th and early 12th centuries that Christianity began to take a more firm hold in Sweden. The Swedish conversion was marked by a combination of missionary activity and the gradual influence of Christian practices through trade and political alliances. The establishment of churches and the conversion of local leaders played a crucial role in the spread of Christianity in Sweden. The impact of Christianization on Viking society was profound. The introduction of Christian beliefs and practices led to significant changes in Viking culture and social structures. Pagan rituals and traditions were gradually replaced by Christian practices, and the influence of the Church began to shape Viking laws and governance. The integration of Christianity also brought about changes in Viking art and literature, as Christian themes and symbols began to emerge alongside traditional Norse motifs. Despite the eventual widespread acceptance of Christianity, elements of Viking paganism persisted in various forms. Many Norse traditions and customs were adapted to fit within the Christian framework, leading to a unique blend of old and new beliefs. This cultural syncretism is evident in the ways in which Viking and Christian practices were interwoven, reflecting the complex and dynamic nature of the conversion process. In conclusion, the encounter between the Vikings and Christianity was a transformative period marked by conflict, negotiation, and eventual integration. The gradual conversion of the Viking societies of Scandinavia was driven by a combination of royal authority, missionary activity, and cultural adaptation. This process not only reshaped Viking culture but also had a lasting impact on the broader European context, contributing to the integration of Scandinavia into the Christian world. The legacy of the Vikings and their place in modern culture. The legacy of the Vikings has left an indelible mark on the modern world, influencing a wide range of cultural, historical, and social aspects. Their impact extends far beyond their historical conquests and explorations, shaping contemporary cultural narratives, popular media, and even national identities. This enduring fascination with the Vikings reflects their complex and multifaceted legacy, which continues to captivate people across the globe. One of the most prominent aspects of Viking legacy in modern culture is their portrayal in literature, film, and television. Viking themes and characters have become staples in various forms of media, from historical dramas to fantasy novels. Television series like Vikings and The Last Kingdom have brought Viking history to a broader audience, blending historical events with dramatic storytelling. These shows often depict Viking warriors, their explorations, and their interactions with other cultures, capturing the imagination of viewers with their dramatic reenactments and epic battles. The portrayal of figures like Ragnar Lothbrok and Ivar the Boneless has introduced audiences to the complexities of Viking leadership and the significance of their raids and conquests. In addition to historical dramas, the Vikings have also made their mark in the realm of fantasy literature and media. The influence of Viking mythology and culture is evident in various works of fiction, including J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, which draw on Norse mythology for inspiration. The depiction of mythical creatures, gods, and heroic quests in fantasy literature often echoes the themes found in Viking sagas and folklore. Similarly, video games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla and God of War incorporate Viking themes and settings, allowing players to immerse themselves in a virtual Viking world and experience the thrill of Viking exploration and combat. The fascination with Viking culture also extends to the realm of historical reenactment and living history. Many enthusiasts participate in Viking reenactment groups and events, where they recreate Viking battles, crafts, and daily life. These reenactments provide a hands-on experience of Viking culture, allowing participants and spectators to gain a deeper understanding of Viking customs and practices. The attention to detail in these reenactments, from authentic clothing and weaponry to traditional crafts and cooking, reflects a commitment to preserving and honoring Viking heritage. The impact of Viking culture is also evident in modern Scandinavian societies, where Viking history and mythology continue to play a significant role in national identity and cultural pride. In countries like Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, Viking heritage is celebrated through festivals, museums, and historical sites. The Viking Ship Museum in Oslo, Norway, for example, showcases well-preserved Viking ships and artifacts, providing valuable insights into Viking maritime technology and exploration. Similarly, the Jelling stones in Denmark commemorate the Viking Age and the conversion to Christianity, serving as important symbols of Danish history and identity. In contemporary popular culture, Viking symbols and motifs have found their way into various aspects of everyday life. Viking-inspired designs, such as runic patterns, helmet imagery, and Norse symbols, are commonly seen in jewelry, fashion, and home decor. These symbols are often embraced for their aesthetic appeal and their connection to the broader Viking legacy. The use of Viking imagery in modern design reflects a continued fascination with the strength, bravery, and mystique associated with Viking culture. The Viking legacy also extends to modern sports and entertainment. In professional sports, teams and organizations often adopt Viking-themed names, logos, and mascots, drawing on the association with strength and valor. For example, the Minnesota Vikings, an American football team, and the Viking FC, a Norwegian football club, use Viking imagery to evoke a sense of power and determination. The popularity of Viking-themed sports and entertainment reflects the enduring appeal of Viking culture and its association with heroism and adventure. Furthermore, the study of Viking history and archaeology continues to contribute to our understanding of their impact and legacy. Ongoing research and excavations provide new insights into Viking life, their trade networks, and their interactions with other cultures. The discovery of Viking artifacts and settlements sheds light on their advanced maritime skills, their complex social structures, and their influence on medieval Europe. This scholarly work helps to keep the Viking legacy alive and ensures that their contributions to history are accurately represented and understood. The legacy of the Vikings is a rich and multifaceted one, encompassing their historical achievements, their cultural influence, and their continued presence in modern popular culture. From their portrayal in media and literature to their impact on contemporary design and national identity, the Vikings remain a source of fascination and inspiration. Their enduring legacy reflects the complexity and dynamism of their historical and cultural impact, ensuring that the story of the Vikings continues to captivate and resonate with people around the world. And that wraps up our exploration of the Vikings and their remarkable impact on history and modern culture. From their legendary raids and influential leaders to their lasting presence in today's media and national identities, the Viking legacy continues to captivate and inspire. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Viking history. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of the Norsemen, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating historical content. See you next time.